Hey, this is Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Kilo Whiskey, Dead Ham Walking. Hey, I got invited to speak at the Missoula Radio Club, Hellgate Amateur Radio Club last week, and they wanted to know all about soda and POTA and how to get started. So here's a video of that presentation. The club specifically wanted me to walk them through how to sign up and get started on the internet. So we talked about the two web pages, how to get going, and the slides don't show up too good on this video. So in the description below is a link to all my slides that you can download and view in perfect resolution and see exactly what I'm talking about. So I was asked to talk about getting started on Summits on the Air and Parks on the Air. I've been a ham about 2 years. That's me. I've been wanting to be a ham for a long time, and I took advantage of being unemployed for a month during COVID to take my exam, and I passed. So I've been hiking and backpacking and getting out in the wilderness for years, and now I can combine radio with that, so I get a double whammy. It's a lot of fun. And I got my general spring of 2020 extra last year. I just memorized all the questions. You guys know so much more about radio than I do. I just know this. I got lots of other interests in radio, and I want to do all sorts of other things, but right now this is all I do. I brought my gear if you want to see how I set things up. I got an email address there. If you want to email me, I will send you a link to get the high version of these slides. This didn't print out as well as I'd like, but that's for you to scribble on and take home if you want. The PDF file of the big glossy slides, send me an email, I'll get that to you. I'm also recording this. I got a YouTube channel, Dead Ham Walking. You want to see some of the videos I do it for fun. I go out and I do a park and I tell you about the park, and you can listen to me talk to people and get mad at them or laugh at them or whatever it is, but that's me. And we're going to start off with Parks on the Air. I heard a statistic the other day that over 75% of ham radio traffic right now is digital. It's on FT8. And the second most popular activity in ham radio is Parks on the Air. And on the weekends, there's so many people doing this. It's a lot of fun. And you can, anybody here heard of it? Anybody not heard of Parks on the Air or Summits on the Air?
I've heard of it.
Heard of it.
I've heard of it. George?
Yeah?
I think the interesting thing about Parks on the Air, it's a spin-off of WWFF, Worldwide Flora and Fauna.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Which is a European thing. And this program is only like 3 years old.
It's only 3 years old.
And it's so popular.
There's the website that we're going to talk about. I was invited to help people get on the websites and get registered. This is focusing on the websites for these two programs. We can talk about all sorts of stuff, but I'm going to show you how to get on, get registered, and start to do this. So the website is parksontheair.com, and its motto is International Portable Amateur Radio Operators that promote emergency awareness and communications from national, federal, and state provincial parks. This on the lower left is a YouTube guy, KB.
PBR?
Yeah, he's on all the time. He's got videos every day. He's at a park twice a week, does his videos. This is a picture of someone at a park at some kind of overlook with his radio and his antenna on the rail there, and he's out there talking to people on the parks. Parks on the Air is portable and mobile. The idea being you can drive to a park and you can work out of your car, you can work out of your tailgate, or you can walk up a hill, and that's me on the upper right there. That is at the National Bison Range north of here. That's a park. And the highest point of that park is also Red Sleep Mountain, which is a soda peak, so I was doing a soda and a POTA at the same time up there. And this picture on the right is just for fun. That's a mobile antenna rig on a little car, which looks a little ridiculous, but it looks sort of cool too. The idea being you can do this from your car. You can drive into the parking lot, and if you've got a rig set up in your car, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can talk to people from the park and get awards, which I do it just to have fun.
Can you drive right to that park inside the Bison Or do you have to
So
hike it?
you're not allowed to get out of your car in the bison range, except at the very top, there's a parking lot with some restrooms. And then there's a little trail about a quarter mile you walk up to get there.
Okay.
So you're gonna have to carry your stuff if you want to get to the top of that. So let's get right into the website, parksontheair.com. This is the first page you see. And that help getting started, the little arrow is, it says join POTA or get started. And so you click on that. You get this page, which takes you through all the things you're going to have to go to get registered. But the first thing you got to do is go to Cognito signing. You got to sign in and have a username and password through Cognito. So you got to go here first. It takes you to this page. You can sign up with your Google account, your Facebook, or whatever. I don't have any of those things, and you can do it through email. So I did mine through email. I blurted out, I blocked out my email address, and you sign in or you sign up. And the thing with Parks on the Air, there's two parts to it. They're the people who go to the parks and try to get QSOs with other people. Those are the activators. And the hunters are the people that look to find a QSO with somebody at a park. And so the activators seek to complete a QSO with an activator. The hunters, the people who can be in their house, they can be in their car, they can even be at a park, but they're looking to talk to somebody at a park. And they can broadcast from anywhere, even a park, I just said that. Any band, any mode, as long as the other party is a POTA activator. And then the hunters do not have to submit their log files. The activators are in charge of that. So if you're just chasing the hunters or chasing the activators, you just make the QSOs. You can put those in your normal log, but the Parks on the Air statistics are all submitted by the activators. These are the people who go to the parks to activate QSOs. So activators seek to make QSOs with any other party. It doesn't have to be somebody doing POTA. You can talk to your neighbor on a 2-meter FM and get a QSO. You must broadcast within a sanctioned POTA park, and there's a whole list of those. Any band, any mode, and it's off the screen, but activators submit the log files for which both activators and hunters get awards. And to activate a park and get the credit for having activated that park, you've got to have 10 QSOs. 10 QSOs. And again, it can be with anybody. So after you sign in and log in, then we're going to, with the big blue arrow, this is not high-tech PowerPoint, with the big blue arrow, we're going to go to rules. And just to give you, and it's too small to see, but you have to be within the perimeters of the park, and the website has a list of the parks, but you should also reference the state parks and make sure you're within the boundaries of the park. The park must be open. Some of these parks close in the winter. I've traveled 100 miles to a park and it's closed. So you've got to be prepared for that sometimes. And as always, it's your risk to do this. If you die doing a POTA, they're not responsible. But using common sense, you'll be fine. 10 QSOs, no repeaters. It has to be simplex. And that's the main thing. There's some other stuff in there, but you read through that. And then the next thing on the website for Parks on the Air, once you log in, you'll get this screen and all these on the side. We're going to go to resources. That's what the arrow's for. On the resource page, lots of things to look at. But in particular with the arrows, there's some YouTube videos on how to be an activator, and there's YouTube videos on how to be a hunter. And it's very well done, better than what I could do. And they're short videos. I recommend you look at those things. Now we're going to go into the activator training link. This takes you to this guy. These are YouTube videos done for Parks on the Air. And you can't find these videos by searching YouTube normally. Maybe you can, but there's no channel. And so this guy has, on the right side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos. Watch them in order. It just lays out the whole program very clearly. And what I'm going to show you next is at the very bottom, it's how to log your activation QSOs. We all got our normal logbook where we put in our contacts, but if you want to get credit on Parks on the Air, you have to submit a special kind of log file, ADIF file. So this is the screenshot of that 4th video on how to log properly the Parks on the Air QSOs. He suggests using this software, which I've got. There's other softwares that will produce the same type of file, but I like this. It's the N3FJP suite of log files for various things. This guy's got log files for QSO parties and this and that. And what he does is takes the general program and we modify it. He shows you how to do it in the video. It's very easy to do. And you log your QSOs on this program. You produce an ADF file, a special file that goes to POTA, and then you email that to the guy, the volunteer who sends it to POTA. So there's volunteers that take your files and sends them to POTA. There's a coordinator for each number. So in Montana, we send it to K7 if your call sign ends in 7. If your call sign ends in 2, doesn't matter where you are, you send it to K2@parksontheair.com. The volunteer collects your file. He doesn't always do it the same day. It can take a week sometimes for him to put it on Parks on the Air website, and then you get credit for what you've done. It doesn't happen like that. So, besides going outside and getting some fresh air and talking to people on the radio, what do you get for activating POTUS? You get awards, certificates of accomplishment, and there's all sorts of them. And this is my awards page, as it was a few weeks ago. And I'll just go through a couple of these. Working 100 different people, working from 30 different units, working in park to park. So if I'm at a park trying to talk to other people and somebody else is on another park and we talk to each other, we get a park to park. That's special. So they count those. This is sort of a toggle. Parks activated. I have been in 30 separate parks that I've got 10 QSOs on. I'll get another award when I hit 40. Parks hunted. I've talked to people in 153 different parks around the country. Late shift activations. If you UTC midnight's about 4 or 5 o'clock around here, and if you go past that, you're technically working that park on a different day. And if you work it late shift, you get points for that. And park to parks, if I'm in a park and I talk to somebody else in a park, I've almost got 200 of them. Anyway, this is just the award page. Yours will look different. On the right side, that's how many different states I've activated parks in. I got 35 out of 50. And I have been in 5 different states activating parks. Montana obviously is one of them. And then it keeps track. I have activated 17 out of the 123 parks in Montana. I have activated Lolo National Forest, which surrounds me in plains. I can pull off to the side of the road in plains and be in Lolo National Forest, get on the radio and activate that park. So I've got it activated 18 times. Once I get to 20, I get a certificate and various types of awards. So, if you like awards, they've got plenty of them. Now, maps. Where are the parks? So if you go on the website and you click down here to maps, it's going to give you a map of somewhere in the U.S. It usually centers you right in the middle of Kansas or something like that. And so you go up to here where it says United States of America, and you click on, United States of America, and on the right side location, you click on Montana, and you'll get Montana. And I've moved the map to center us over in Missoula. Here's Missoula right here. So if you look carefully, and it's hard to see on your little handouts, but there's these little yellow dots that pepper the map, and each of these yellow dots is a sanctioned POTA park. And the POTA park can be as small as, up here it's Frenchtown Lake State Park. That
Down pond.
the pond, yeah, that's a little thing, but that's an official park. And if you click out here, that's Lolo National Forest. Well, that's huge. That goes all the way up to where I live in Plains and over here. But it's just a general thing. We've got Travelers Rest State Park down here, which coincides with, not everything is a park. Some of the sanctioned things you can do are trails. So Lewis and Clark Trail goes right through that park. I actually activated Lewis and Clark's trail on the Oregon-Washington border about a month ago. So you can be all sorts of places and get that. Travelers Rest State Park actually it has 3 different parks overlap. You can get 3 parks in a day. And what's down there by Stevensville?
Lee Metcalf.
Yeah, Lee Metcalf. Anyway, they're all over the place. There's plenty. Where we live in Montana, it's a paradise. There's so many parks and peaks per square mile. I'll show you a map later of what it looks like in Nebraska. There's, I think, 1 sort of peak in the entire state. But we got, these are not far away and easy to get to. Travelers Rest State Park, you can sit in the parking lot in your car with your radio and you can activate the park. Some of these are harder to get to, but they've got a great map feature on the website. And so what it is, the little arrow, we're going to go look at Frenchtown Pond. You zoom in on the map and you can see exactly where it is on the highway. If you click on the little yellow dot, you get this. It gives you the park reference number and the name of the park. And then you're going to click on more info. This is the page of Frenchtown Park. It's got all sorts of information on it. It's got the very first person to ever activate this park, and he's here in the room today. And that was just a couple years ago.
No, that was last fall.
Was it last fall?
Yeah.
So how long was that? How long's POTA been going? About 3 years?
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one activated before you did. So few people in Montana.
Well, I think that's because I had the most activations at that time.
You also got the first.
No, there was somebody there before me.
I have the most now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've activated.
First activation, KMTD, 8/5/2021.
No, that's park leaders. Over on the right is activations. The first one was
First activation?
K1RKK.
No, he activated it about a month ago.
Okay, I stand corrected. Anyway.
Okay, sorry, maybe
It's
you
got
got
the
it.
history of who's been there. And you'll find on some of these parks, no one's ever activated. I mean, that's the beauty of living where we are. There's parks all over the place, and how many hams in this small state of Montana are there? I mean, you can get out there and be the first one to activate a park and become immortal on this website. Okay, so that's the maps. Now, you can look in the map, let's say you're gonna travel somewhere on vacation, and you wanna take them, you go to the map there and say, well, here's all these parks around me, maybe I can do this. You do your research, and you find some parks to activate. Now, when it comes to getting out in the field, how do you find somebody who's activated the park? And they have a page on the same website called Spot. And it lists, and this same website, which is POTA.app, will work on your mobile phone. So you can take your phone with you. And this is a list of all the people at the moment, live, who are at a park looking for someone to talk to. So if you want to talk to somebody on a park, you go to Spots, and you can filter all these spots, because it's any band, any mode. You can filter the spots to whatever mode you want. And I like to do, well, I don't know CW yet. I like to do SSB. I like 20 meters, so I'll filter this for 20 meters SSB, and it will knock down my choices of who I can talk to. So that's what this arrow is. You're going to change the band to 20 meters. I did this at night when no one's doing POTA, so there's only 3 of them in the US doing it at the time. And I made it SSB. So at that moment, there's only 2 people on 20 meter SSB. I had somebody in California on 14.321. So I dial that up and try to catch him. And somebody else in Illinois at 14.318, so I dial him up, see if I can talk to him. And if I happen to be at a park, I'll get a park to park. If I'm at home, I'll just get a log for having caught that guy. So that's on the website too. That's something you take with you. At the same time you find other people at parks, you can alert everybody else where you are. So if you're at a park, you put your call sign in, you put your frequency and the park you're at, and you get broadcast on this. And so people will come to you. They come to you pretty quickly. So it's not too hard to activate a park if you got a decent radio. That's Parks on the Air. Any questions? Again, email me. I'll send you some high-resolution versions of your handouts, and any questions, we'll be happy to answer them for you. I've got my kit. Again, I just have one little radio. I only run 15 watts. I like to get out in the middle of nowhere with my radio. I don't have a setup at home. I don't have anything in my car yet. So this is all I do right now. So I can talk to you about it all day. That's Parks on the Air. Summits on the Air is similar to Parks on the Air, except this was started in England. It's an award scheme for radio amateurs that encourages portable operation in mountainous areas. So you're going to go to the top of a mountain to do this, not in a park. Now, the top of a mountain can be something that's completely inaccessible unless you're going to get ice crampons and climb up icicles, which nobody's going to do around here. It can be a 2-mile hike up a trail to get to the peak. It can be a drive too. I live in Plains. Patrick's Knob is where all the cell towers are, but it's a Summits on the Air peak. I can drive half an hour up the Forest Service Road and park on one side of the transmitters, walk my gear around, and do that summit. It's almost a walk to.
Not this time of year, George.
Not now. No, that's a summer thing. So there's various difficulties of summits. You don't have to go out in the wilderness for 3 days. On the right, that's Vic, K7VK. He went way up in northwestern Montana, Lincoln County. We went up to Boundary Peak. We went by Yak, actually further out than Yak. And he's doing CW. We caught that peak last summer. That was a camp out and a 3-mile hike up lava rocks. And on the lower left, that's right outside my hometown. That's Henley Peak. That's me hiking to it. About a quarter mile of bushwhacking off the Forest Service Road. And this is Red Sleep Mountain that's on the Bison Range. It's the same set of photos on that other one. And I got my handheld talking. I think I was talking to Vic right there. And I got my antenna. So that's a peak. It's also a park. And that's easy to get to. Again, the difficulty level varies. So Summits on the Air is to back up, the website is on the URL there somewhere. But if you've never done Summits on the Air, you gotta sign up. So on the first page, you go to joining in. You go to joining in, you get this big long paragraph, and somewhere inside that joining in it says, register an account. So you gotta click on the text here, and then you fill out this form, which is the usual stuff. Now, if you're in Montana, you're going to want to put the association. All parts of the world have an association, and we are W7M. It's the seventh for where we live, and M for Montana. You put that in there. You put your home location, longitude and latitude, and you log in. So chasers and activators are a little different on Summits on the Air. Chasers are looking for QSOs from activators who are located in a sanctioned summit. You can be anywhere, you can be at home. Chasers are responsible for logging their QSOs into the SOTA database, unlike Parks on the Air. Activators are on top of a sanctioned summit and are seeking QSOs from anyone, not just those who are playing the SOTA game.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
you said there's sanctions. You can't go just any peak and transmit
You have to be on top of
sanction?
on a sanction. I'll go over that in a minute.
Okay.
There's thousands of them. It's not always what you think they are. You must physically be present and broadcasting within 80 feet of the top of the peak. They give you an area. Because sometimes the top of the peak is, you can't get to it. But you've got an area. So if you're within the activation zone, it counts. The activators, as well as the chasers, are responsible for logging their own QSOs on the database. And this is something you do yourself. You don't have to go through a program and have somebody do it for you. And you only need 4 QSOs to activate a summit, not 10. So it's a little easier. The thing about summits on the air, I like it because you have to carry everything on your back. With Parks on the Air, you can put it in your car. You can get a lot of wattage, but you're not going to carry a 1,000-watt amplifier on your back to go on top of this thing. So it's a lot of QRP, a little more challenging to get there. And then I just like being on top of a mountain with like 6 volts and a wire and talk to people all over the place. I think it's pretty cool. Once you log in, you're going to go to, on their page, Introduction to Chasing, and a nice little article there to read. Introduction to Activating. They're sort of the rules. And the main rules on Summits on the Air, again, if you fall off the cliff and die, it's your fault, not theirs. If that's in there. You have to use a legitimate access routes to get to the peak. And if you go across private property, you have to get permission. You cannot operate from your vehicle. And the method of final access to the summit must be walking. Now, go to Pat's Knob, right outside my house. I get out of the car, I walk 30 feet, but I'm not in the car, so it's okay. But some of these other places you can't get in a car to. 4 QSOs at least, and then you've got the summit activated, and that's mainly it. There's some other outlines there. The summits, how many peaks are there? I'm going to get to this map later. But each of these little dots, the reds are the higher ones, the greens are the shorter ones. This is a map of the western United States where all the peaks are. What if you lived over here in Kansas? There's no peaks. You don't play soda in Kansas where you can be 100. You can talk to people already on a peak. But for people who want to go outside and get on a peak, you'll never get them all. And you don't even have to do the same one twice if you want to go for new ones each time. That map with the dots is not on this website. I'm going to show you that website in a second. On the Summits on the Air website, you go to Summit Listings. Just to give you an idea how they organize this. So you click on Summit Listings, and the world is broken up into 195 associations. And this is the top of the list. It's got things like Singapore here, Portugal down here. Portugal has 11 sections and a total of 236 peaks on it. We're going to scroll down this list to where Montana is. Montana's way down there, and the reason I show you Montana's way down there is this is how the USA is broken up. We've got, Missouri's got its own section, Nebraska, Alabama, most of the states have their own. Montana is W7M. So, and look at how many peaks there are. New Mexico has 1,090 peaks in it. Montana has 2,600 peaks in it. You're never going to do all those. So let's go into Montana. Now you got a little bit of a map of how Montana is broken up. Montana is broken up into these different districts, and there are district people in charge of the district, and our own Vic Applegate's in charge of about half the state. Vic knows a lot about this. Vic does this more than I do. So you can ask him questions too, and you do too. You and Vic are the 1 and 2, I think. I'm going to go in a little further. I'm going to take you into Lola, where I live. I'm going to go into the Lola region, which has 162 peaks. We are in Lake Missoula, here in Missoula, 179 peaks in that. So we're going to go into Lola. And now we got a listing of all the peaks, starting with the highest, going to the lowest. And the higher the peak, the more points it's worth, because in summits on the air, you get points. It's not certificate awards. And off to the right, it tells you how many times that peak has been activated by somebody. So on our first, 12 or so peaks in Montana, which are the highest peaks in this state, only one of the peaks has been accessed one time. This is how rural we are and how easy it is to be the first one on the peak sometimes. I'm going to scroll down this list to take you to Pat's Knob, which is the one I do all the time. So we go down here, Pat's Knob is only a 4-pointer. The points go from 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So if you get a 10-point peak, you get a lot of points for one try. Pat's Knob's a 4. It's been activated 11 times, 10 by me. That's because it's a half hour from my backyard on a summer day, and if I get urged to go talk to people, I might as well activate this peak again. The thing with points on summits on the air, you only get the points once a year. So why do I go up 9 more times? That's also parks on the air, Lobo National Forest. I'm doing parks on the air. You can get points for activating the same park over and over. But that's why that number's in. So you click on Patrick's Knob. Again, we're drilling down into the, and this is the page for Patrick's Knob. It's got the QTH, it's got when it was first activated, actually it was first activated by Vic Applegate a ways ago. Now the rest of them were me, just playing after work. If you want to look at the actual peak, you've got all these places you can click on. You got to go to topographical maps, you can go to Google Maps, you can look at all these other ways of looking at the peak. I like to use CalTopo, topographical maps. I'm a backpacker, hiker. I like to study topo maps to plan my activities, so I like to go into that. Also on these pages, sometimes people who have activated a peak will talk about it on a blog, or they'll do a video about it, or they'll have a report that you can go into. And actually, K7ATN, who's in charge of, there's a blog called Pacific Northwest SOTA, PM, and I'll have to get that to you. There's a blog, you can put your story. If you click on this, you'll see my little report on how I did that peak. Some people post photographs, but if you're looking at a peak to do and you see that someone's posted something about it, look at that. They'll tell you how it went, how easy it was, if there's any trouble. We're going to click on CalTopo. This is hard to see, but this is Pat's Knob. Plains is right up here. This is Paradise. Anyway, there's a Forest Service road that takes you all the way up to Pat's Knob. And if you know how to study topo maps, you can make a plan. This was my plan. That picture you saw earlier of Vic Applegate and I on Northwest Peak, this was the map that I made. So red is driving. I traced it on camera. We drove all the way up here and we camped right here. And the blue is the hiking trail. And with CalTopo, if you trace a route, it'll tell you your elevation gain and how steep it is. You can get an idea if it's hard or easy. And we went up here to Northwest Peak. We thought on the same day, it looked like there was a trail down here to, I can't remember, there was another peak down here, but it was not accessible. There was no trail, so we couldn't do that. But this is how I plan a peak. Now, scrolling through all these lists of countries and states and regions and peaks, how do you know it's a peak you even want to do? What if you're going somewhere and you really want to plan a peak or a summit to activate? You go to, this is a completely different website, sotl.as, and it's very graphic. It's an easier way to plan a summit. And so I went into Missoula on this website, and you can see all the peaks are listed where they are and how many times people visit it. So we've got quite a few peaks. The University of Mountain's a popular one. Mount Dean Stone just opened up as an official trail last year. You can go up there now and activate that one. That's a bit of a hike. This is a bit of a hike up University Mountain. There are some that you can drive to. If you go way down south, I don't think you go quite to Darby. There's Sula Peak, that's got a Forest Service fire lookout up there. You drive right to the fire lookout, get out of the car, walk 30 feet, and you get that peak. So there are peaks you can drive to. They're usually associated with Forest Service lookouts. So on this website, you can go to an area, let's say you're going to go on vacation to Yellowstone. So you push the map to Yellowstone, and you can see all the peaks that are officially sanctioned peaks, and you can plan a lot better than scrolling through a list on the regular site. So we're going to click on University Mountain right here, and it gives you the peak name and its points. University Mountain's only 2 points. It's not that high. If you happen to do a peak in the winter between October and March around here, you get 3 extra points because it's snowing. So that's what that 3 is. So you go to the University Mountain page on this website, and it gives you all sorts of information, how many times it's been activated, who the last one was. And up here, this will take you to that Cal Topo site. Same one we had on the other side, if you want to use the topographical map to plan it. And a lot more people post on this website as far as their photographs and their experience on websites. And you can get a little travel log of people who have actually been there, and you can read about how their experience was. And so it's a lot more easy way to plan a trip. This is a map of all the peaks. Not everything's been mapped. Pretty much in the United States, everything's been mapped. There's an algorithm that somebody wrote, and they put it on Google Earth. If it's so many feet, if this peak is so many feet above the general terrain, and it has this characteristic or that characteristic, it gets counted as a peak you can activate. And again, not all of them are accessible. And so you can see, we're right up here. There's so many peaks up here that you could do this every day of the week and never do the same one twice. No mountains in the middle of the country. You get to the Appalachian Ranges. There's lots of peaks on the East Coast. Canada hasn't been completely mapped. I doubt if there's a little rectangular spot of peaks and nowhere else up there, so they haven't all been mapped yet. But there's plenty of peaks around the world. It's not just here. Now, similar to Parks on the Air, there is on the same website, so, you can go to the spots and the alerts. This is a list of people who are actually on a peak if you want to try to chase them. And it's also this is alerts. You can tell people ahead of time, I'm planning on being here on this day between this time and this time, and they can put it in their calendar. It's not very reliable because if you plan to go somewhere and things don't work out, or it snows, or a lot of times people don't show up to their reserved time. So I don't use alerts, but if you go to spots, and this is live, this is who's actually on a summit right now, broadcasting at what frequency and where. I happen to take this screenshot at night, so no one's up on a peak at night in the United States. This has got, a couple, but this is in Japan, New Zealand. But it gives you the UTC time, and they are on this frequency and this peak, and you can get all that detail off of that. But that's on a big computer. There's a better app called SodaGo, if you can get it on your mobile phone. And this is a really neat little program. You can look and see who's on a peak at any point, any time. You can broadcast to the list where you are, so people will come and get you. It has a list of the peaks that are near you geographically. And if you click on this tracker, it'll tell you how far away the summit is and how much elevation gain you have to get there. Because if you're off-road and you're hiking up a mountain, and you think that's the peak, you get this app out and it goes, no, you got another quarter mile to go that way, and you got another 300 feet to go up. It'll get you to the activation zone using GPS technology. So it's an invaluable app to use when doing summits on the Earth. Okay, so points. On that same website, you can drop down and look at your own points. You can look at points for the region. And the first thing you got to do from that same menu is when you get home after doing the summit, you got to put in your QSOs. This is the page where you put your QSOs. And I just made this one up. So I was in Montana, W7M. I was in Lake Missoula region, and I was on Mount Dean Stone that day. My call sign is here. The date of the activation here, UTC date. And I talked to Vic, K7BK, and that's the time, and da-da-da-da. You put the details in, you click add QSO, you got the one. And you do that for every QSO you made, and you send it off, and your points are instantaneous. Once you've accumulated a few points, you can go down here and you can look at your statistics. This is Montana 2021 Chaser Roll of Honor. So these are the people not on summits. These are people sitting home talking to people on summits and getting points for being a chaser. And in 2021, we need new glasses.
You try to read that first call sign?
WV7,
WZ.
BWZ. Yeah, that guy's a stud. Anyway, this is the Chaser Roll of Honor. Yeah, so we got KRSF Dennis Lane, we got Vic, we got MTD. So a lot of people from around here are doing this. That's 2027 statistics.
Is this all in the honor system?
It's all, both are on the honor system. Yeah, you can, I mean, if you really abuse this, you can get caught. It's all in the honor system. This is the Activator Roll of Honor for 2021 for Montana. People who go up to the peaks. Vic was the king last year. I was number 4. I got out a lot. Dave was number 8 anyway. I went outside, I did 33 summits last week. If you like to keep track of your points. I just do it for the fun of it, but I keep track of it. Now, on Summits on the Air, the big award is if you get 1,000 points either as a chaser or a hunter. You have to buy your award, but you get this, looks like a block of ice with your call sign in it, and that's the whole ball of wax. Some people have done this over and over. If you like those type of things, you can just download a certificate. But again, people like to keep track of that. And that's it. Again, just sort of the web interface and how to get started on this. There's a lot more to it. Again, email me, I'll get you a lot clearer version of that handout there. And I'm recording this. You'll watch it on YouTube later if you want to listen to it again. And that's about it. Any questions? It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Hey, George, there's just a couple comments that I didn't hear you mention that I thought were kind of important. Is Parks on the Air you can do a billion times a year. Summits on the Air you can only claim once a year. There's a big difference there.
Yeah, you only get the points for a summit once a year.
Right.
But there's reasons to go up to a summit a second time. Let's say you want to be up there for the chasers to catch.
There's a guy in Colorado that's got it in his backyard. He's up there all the time in the same mountain.
Same mountain.
He does it for the chasers.
It does it for the chasers.
Yeah.
I just like getting different QSOs.
Exactly. Yeah. And the other comment I have is that soda, you have to be completely independent. You have to operate completely independent. You can't use your car for battery, anything. You have to carry.
You have to carry it on your back.
You're totally independent of anything else.
Yeah. I like it. It's like off-grid communication type stuff. That's cool.
One of your statistics showed 2,606. Is that 2,606 soda tops in Montana?
I think it's points. Let me see.
No, that was the number of summits.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a number of summits in Montana.
2,600 summits in Montana.
Yeah, 2,600 summits.
So if you go to SOT.LAS and you go into Montana, and there's just dots everywhere. You go to the higher peaks and you get a closer look at where those are. You're not going to get to some of those.
So what state has the most? Do you know?
I don't know. You can
I think it's California.
California has the most spots.
I think so. They have like.
Yeah, this
6,000.
isn't live. Let me see if I can get back to that slide.
I'm just curious if you knew.
No, not off.
One of these slides.
I can drive backwards.
This is your next big chance.
Tell me which way to go.
Back.
You got forward or back?
Back.
All right.
Okay, forward. No, back. Sorry, keep going back. There we go. This is as close as we can get. W6 is California. W6 has got, California's got 4,200 peaks. Some of these are no-name peaks. They're just little mounds out in the middle of nowhere.
That fit the criteria.
The criteria is the algorithm, so many feet above the general train, there's some other rules, it's just a computer program. Some of them are well-known, and some of the well-known peaks you think would be Minnesota are not.
Well, because like you said, some of you can get to some of these.
Who decides what's a park on the air? How does that list
It
get?
has to be, well, they made a decision when they started the program, it's gotta be a park that's got a website, a government website, national parks, state forests, something that's got, is public, not private. If there's any private ownership at all, it doesn't count.
You guys
And right now, they're concentrating on tagging parks in other countries. They've realized that, yes, there are more parks in the United States they didn't put down, but they're not on the list yet. So they're going to add to the list of the U.S. parks someday, but they're working in England now. There aren't that many countries doing parks on the air. There's many countries doing summits on the air.
There's like 111 DXCCs in Poland. On Poland.
Anyway, this is all I do, so I have fun doing this. I could do this all day long if I wasn't stupid.
George,
Yeah,
how many contests do you typically get out of when you're up there?
on a summit, I get as many as I can.
What would be a typical?
I shoot for 4, and then I have got enough to get the points. But it depends. I was up on Mount Baldy, which is another. I got 7 peaks I can see from 7 soda summits from my house. So, anyway, one of them, I went up and it was still snowing. You could get there without snowshoes. So it was like 18 degrees up there. I just got to 4 and got out of there. It was too cold. But on the summer, I get up there and I'll spend a couple hours. I'll get 30, 35. And I don't do CW. I get a lot more if I do CW. I just do SSB, 15 watts, 20 meters usually gets me the most.
You use like a big pile up right away when you get the flying over?
If I spot myself and go on that website and say, hey, here I am, because a lot of people want Montana to complete work all states. I get that all the time. Hey, I've been trying to get Montana for the longest time. And they're doing the work all states. They don't care it's so. But, so you'll get people come to you in Montana. Parks on the air, you can stay there all day. I usually spend an hour because when you do a summit, you gotta remember it's going to take you time to drive to the trailhead, hike up the trailhead, do your radio, and then you got to have time to hike down the trailhead, get in the car and go home before it's dark. And sometimes you've only got an hour up on the hill if it's hard to get to, unless you're going to camp out. Parks on the air are a lot easier. You drive to the parking lot sometimes, do your thing, go home. So Parks on the Air is more popular. It's easier, I think, because you don't have to backpack your stuff up the hill. But I try for at least 10 or 12. I'm into QSL cards. I like to write them. I like to get the little cards. So I'm looking for people like that to talk to. That's a whole other story.
George, I don't see, .6, Big Sky Mountain or TD Mountain.
Those are not official.
They're not official.
They don't follow the algorithm.
I wonder why.
They're high enough to act as computer sites. Not
Because like Mosquito Peak behind .6 is so close to .6 and then it's higher.
yeah.
Edo.
So the peak has to be a certain distance away
From
from a peak that's higher.
it's got to be like 350 feet higher than the surrounding peaks in the surrounding areas. I forget what circumference.
Yeah.
There's peaks you would think are soda peaks and they're not. And there's little tiny things. We've got this little bump right outside of Plains that's a 1 pointer. Anyway, now people have challenged the algorithm and they are adding peaks to areas. So, Vic, let's get involved in that. They reevaluate sometimes. Someone says, hey, this really should be a peak. And they add peaks. So if you look at the list, like the list of Lolo, and you get all the way down to the bottom to the 1 pointers, and then there's 3 or 4 new ones. So that helps. But most of the peaks on Summits on the Air, things you would never think are peaks, and they're not even named. Not in the middle of nowhere with no trail. So you gotta go. But they're there.
And I learned that the peaks with the number is the elevation.
That's the elevation.
Yeah.
So a no-name peak will be peak number 4530. Well, that's because that's its elevation.
Yeah.
So. And I'll chase people, you can also do summit to summit. I'll be on Mount Baldy and I'll look on that app and there's somebody in New Mexico on the same peak and we'll talk. And I'll go home at night and I'll look up the peak he was on, I'll look at the map and I go, how the heck did he get there? And then some of them say, oh, he just drove me that.
And on summit, you both get credit for each summit.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a double whammy.
that's the double. It's funny. Somebody came into town, a friend of yours in Eastern Beach, and he went up to university, and I caught wind of it. So I just drove up to Pat's Knob and talked to him on 2 meters. I go, if you both activate and you chase the same peak, you get a complete.
Right.
So it's little incentives to do.
So do you give tours?
Huh?
Tours?
Who?
You?
Sure. I got 7 peaks around my house. I can take you up to any of them. I actually haven't been on one of them. It's a 5-mile hike each way. I'm not up for 5 miles yet. I can do 3 or 4.
And there's 8 Hoda parks within 30 miles of Missoula.
Yeah, there's Poda parks all over the place. And the nice thing about Poda is you can do it more than once. You can do a Poda
I
park.
did that in my backyard.
We got submitted a bunch of logs,
So anyway, it's fun. I love to do it. Any questions? If you want me to take you somewhere, I'll take you.
Thank you, George.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe my channel. I really enjoy making these. It's a lot of fun, and I hope I'm entertaining you. Any comments, suggestions, or criticisms, please leave a comment. I want to make this channel fun for you. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Woo!